What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Today is Monday, which means Monday Mail Day. I got my drink, and I'm ready to bang out these questions. Pause. And some people keep hitting me up like, oh, you never answer my questions. This is not a popularity contest. I just go through the motions, pick out questions that I think are entertaining for the group, and I'm sorry if I don't get to your questions. Usually the video comes out, the submission video, on Friday or Saturday. You guys are all welcome to leave the questions. And again, the best advice I can give you, the sooner the better, because I don't know when I'm going to record the video, because it has to be out by Monday. And I've been kind of slacking to the point where it's coming out late Monday evenings. So I'm trying to get better with that. So the sooner you guys leave it, the better it is, so I can start working on it. Now let's get into it. First question is from my ninja DJ Abril. Or Jabril. I think I had him before and he corrected me on the name. What's up, Boxingego? I got a little question for you. Since Khan is adding all this weight for the fight against Canelo, is it going to be too difficult for him to lose it after the fight? He is going to have to do it if he wants to fight the top guys at 147 like Kell Brook, Sean Porter, Chief Keith, Thurman, bang, bang, etc. Good question. Realistically, the answer to that question for me is whatever happens in the Canelo fight. If he gets like punished and he's like TKO'd or knocked out, then that's where it becomes a bit harder, because not only did you suffer a brutal knockout, if that in fact happens and Canelo like stretches him or whatnot, but now you're going to try to jump back down and wait after you packed on size. So there's some variables in there, like depends on how big he balloons up. Like if he comes in at a career high like 171 on fight night, and especially if he takes punishment in the fight, like a lot of punishment, and loses the fight, then it's going to be hard to just immediately drop back down. You might want to taper down. So I really have to see. I have to see how he looks at the weigh-in and really the outcome of Canelo Khan to answer that. But if all goes well for Khan, like he outboxes the shit out of Canelo, stays out of trouble, then him going back to 47 shouldn't be that big of a deal. Floyd Mayweather does it. He fought De La Hoya, and then he went back to welterweight and started fighting at welterweight. He fought Cotto, went back down. Fought Canelo at 152, went back down. But again, Floyd doesn't take that much punishment in his fights. So it really just depends on what happens and how much weight he gains for the Canelo fight. That's the best answer I can give you right now. Next question is from Sess the MC. Ego, once the Triple G no max versus Canelo High was born ready fight happens and Triple G wins, do you think Mayweather will come back to fight him for the 50th fight? By the way, bro, love your videos. Keep up the good work. Much love, support from San Fernando Valley, California. Shout out to California, my home state. It just started raining today, but we've been having some good weather. Today's the first day, as I'm recording the video on Sunday, the first official day of spring. So looking forward to some good weather. Well, you assume that Triple G gets past Canelo, it looks like in your question. I would favor Triple G, but it's not an easy fight for him, Triple G versus Canelo. And I think a Mayweather fight is possible. I just don't really see that fight happening, because I don't see the fight. If it's not going to happen at 160, who knows if Triple G can even make the 154 like he claims he can or whatnot. So I don't know if they would do that, make a middleweight fight at 155. I don't think Mayweather would go up to the full 160 at this point of his career. He's retired. I don't know. I just don't. So I don't see it happening for the 50th fight. I don't think they'll cross paths. Next question is from Decipher. Love your work. Your channel is my favorite on YouTube. Thank you. And you have a question. Asked this question last week, but still want to know if you think Rigo should move up in weight to chase down Frampton and Santa Cruz. I mean, Quigg and these two are the only big fights out there for him, in my opinion, and Rigo is long overdue for a payday. Or do you think he should make the fight with Lomachenko? I think the first two options. Lomachenko is most likely, or at least they're trying to get Nicholas Walters, so I don't know if he'll be available, but that's still a good fight. Rigondeaux with any of the top guys is a good fight. Rigondeaux's not getting any younger. He's probably like 33, 34 in boxing, so he's trying to corral these guys into a fight. Quigg has a broken jaw, don't know when he's coming back. So maybe he has to move up. And it's unfortunate because people move up for different reasons. Like Andre Ward, he didn't have to move up at the time he did. He was trying to get a Triple G fight, and then he called him Little G, said he don't want to fight, and he moved up to light heavyweight. Now he's fighting Sullivan Barrera and possibly fighting Kovalev this year, depending on the Ward Barrera outcome and whatnot. But different people move up for different reasons. And I think Rigondeaux will probably have to move up to chase those guys just, and Rigondeaux's not that big of a dude. He's not really that big. He's pretty tiny. So it sucks that he has to do that, but I would probably do it because I think he can do it, and I think his skills would have him fare well at featherweight. And you know what I mean? Maybe at this point of his career, maybe it's easier for him to make featherweight. I don't know his nutrition, but yeah, I think that would be a good idea to chase him, because what are they going to do? Jump another division? You know what I mean? It'll just make them look very bad. So I would do it just for the sake of that. It's funny to me when it comes to Rigondeaux. Notice that he beat Donaire, had Donaire holding his eye in the 12th round. Almost, it looked like he was going to stop him in the 12th round. Dominated him. And then Rigondeaux wanted to rematch, and Donaire was like, what's the point? You guys already seen the first fight. Then he moved up and started fighting featherweights, and he fought the guy where he hurt his eye, Siempewe Vacheca, and he didn't look that great in that fight. He fought Nicholas Walters and got knocked out for the first time, and then he dropped back down. So Donaire first, he said he didn't want a Rigondeaux rematch because he can't make the weight, but obviously you can make the weight because you dropped back down after Nicholas Walters knocked you out. You know what I'm saying? So that's one person who pretty much, to evade Rigondeaux, they moved up in weight, even though I give Donaire credit because he at least stepped in the ring with Rigondeaux at some point. Even though he lost and got dominated, he still stepped up. But same thing with Santa Cruz. All of a sudden, it's too tough for Santa Cruz and Frampton to make weight, and they got to move to the next division. But Carl Frampton could have stuck around for a Scott Quigg fight because he feels it's a domestic rivalry, bigger payday, and they know that Rigondeaux work, and they don't want that. So it's just, in their opinion, I believe it's high risk, low reward. Why didn't your last fight, before you had to be forced out of the division, why couldn't it be, instead of Quigg, why wouldn't it be Rigondeaux? You'll get more respect beating Rigondeaux than beating Quigg, and Quigg's a good fighter. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Next question, slow burn and some numbers. I'm not going to read all the numbers. Ego, do you think Golden Boy Promotions are affecting Canelo's career by choosing him fighter fans don't want to see? And what do you think of Garcia versus Canelo? I don't really like Garcia versus Canelo at the moment. Garcia's only in his second fight. If you're talking about Danny Garcia, I don't know what other Garcia there is. But if it's Danny Garcia, I don't want to see that. Just because Danny Garcia, he has short arms. It's only his second fight at welterweight. Maybe Danny Garcia avenge like a Amir Khan. Well, not avenge because he won that fight, but maybe him clear up some of those fights because Khan was doing pretty good. The Lamont Peterson's kind of like a black cloud. The Herrera. There's other guys, you know what I mean? I thought he looked good versus Guerrero, but I don't want to see him move up again that fast. See, and that's the thing. There's no real rush to, like, I see that a lot. Terence Crawford is he's only had completed 3 fights at 140, and I already hear people saying, oh, he needs to move up, fight Kell Brook. He needs to move up, fight Keith Thurman. Like, you don't have to just run through. It's not like a contest. Like, you're trying to beat Pacquiao's record and move 8 divisions real quick. All that, Mayweather said it best. He said, moving up a weight takes time. It's a process, and that's what it is. So I wouldn't want to see Danny Garcia move up and fight Canelo. Canelo has been fighting at Canelo weight. He's bigger. Let those guys naturally acclimate to the division they're in and do the numbers and face the opponents that they need to face and get the wins. Because realistically, Garcia, if he were to move up and fight Canelo, who's he beat at welterweight? Paulie Malignaggi and Robert Guerrero? Name guys, but they were in the top of the division. You know what I'm saying? So let him do great things at the welterweight division. Fight the Porter Thurman winner. Fight a Kell Brook. Fight Earl Spence. You know what I mean? Guys like that. And then once the division's cleaned out or you have some of those credible names like he did at 140, then move up and fight a guy like Canelo. But there's no real rush. I wouldn't move up, you know what I mean, with 2 fights at welter and then move up. Golden Boy is certainly affecting Canelo's career. It's just he's in a no-win situation. If he knocks out Khan, then most people won't give him credit because that's what they're expecting to happen. And at least Triple G, he's expected to beat Dominic Wade, but at the bare bones minimum, you could say, oh, that's his mandatory. So he's satisfying an obligation. Canelo fighting Amir Khan, there is no mandatory. There is no obligation to fight Amir Khan. You picked him. You and your team selected him. Golden Boy, Oscar, Canelo, Team Canelo, Reynosos, they picked him out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And it's a guy who people question his durability in the lighter division. So it's not really a win situation. And on the flip side, if Canelo looks vulnerable and Khan starts busting him up like he was doing Danny Garcia, then that's really bad because this was a guy that was supposed to be quote unquote easy work and he moved up in weight and he's tagging you and stuff like that. Even if let's say it's a Danny Garcia moment for Khan. Remember the Amir Khan versus Danny Garcia? Did great for 2 rounds, got caught in the 3rd, and then got stopped in the 4th. Even if that happens, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, that's bad for Canelo. Like, if he doesn't look dominant, then it's not necessarily a good look for Canelo, because you're already fighting at your weight, your comfortable weight, and you're expected to win by such a heavy margin, and it's a guy that you didn't have to be fighting. And the guy you're supposed to be fighting, your mandatory Triple G, is having to fight his mandatory because you wanted a voluntary defense. So I do agree. I do think that Golden Boy is affecting Canelo's career. I don't think it's going to affect it. He's such a rock star. I don't think people, you know what I mean? Some people just want mindless entertainment. The Canelo Kirkland, I seen a knockout. You know what I mean? It was a competitive fight for 45 seconds, and then Kirkland started getting knocked down, and then a knockout followed soon after. So some people won't care. Real boxing heads know what it is, and it's a no-win situation for Canelo. That's the simple way to put it. Next question is from Brian Garcia. What's up, Ego? Do you think David Lemieux missed weight because he already knew about being on the Canelo Khan undercard? No. I think David Lemieux always had trouble with weight, even in the Golovkin fight. I seen some 30-day weigh-in pictures. I think he was over like 170, and Golovkin was a lot smaller at his 30-day weigh-in. So I think he's just a big dude and maybe not super disciplined or strict on his diet, and he just missed weight, because I don't see why you would want to negatively impact or influence your career in your hometown. Because I told you guys in the last Monday Mail Day when I was talking about him missing weight, I literally know people, fighters, but professional boxers, and also people that live in Canada, and they were telling me some of the outcries of what was happening, and people were pissed at David Lemieux, like, oh, he's a bump, you know what I mean, just bashing him because they were pissed because the whole card got canceled, basically, and people paid money for tickets, and other fighters were put out of the spotlight because he's the headliner, and the whole card's getting scrapped. So I don't see why you would negatively want to bring all that type of energy on yourself just because you're going to be on a later card. Because fact of the matter is, James De La Rosa was on a year-plus layoff and been knocked out, and he got knocked out by Hugo Centeno Jr. I would favor David Lemieux to probably knock out James De La Rosa either, so he probably could have did both. He could have fought this month, had an easy work knockout, built his confidence back, and then fought Glenn Tapia. So I don't think it was planned. Next question is from Yak Ama. Even though Mayweather retired right now, who in the 147 division beats him? Great channel, by the way, bruh. Best boxing fighting content on YouTube. Salute. Thank you for that. I don't have anyone really beating Floyd Mayweather. The only way is if at 147, nah. 54, he has some challenges up there. But at 47, I don't really see any of the guys beating him. Because you look at it, the guy named Manny Pacquiao, all that experience, southpaw, power, speed to rival Mayweather's, very hard to read and unorthodox timing. He clipped him and really couldn't do nothing after that. He clipped him, had him back, walk back to the ropes and did nothing with it after that. You know what I'm saying? Or couldn't do anything. So I don't have anyone beating him because other guys have power. Like, is anyone out there going to say Keith Thurman hits significantly harder than Canelo or Cotto? You know what I mean? At 52 and 54? You know what I'm saying? So Keith Thurman, we don't even know if Keith Thurman could get past Sean Porter. Sean Porter, I don't think he has the style to beat him. All right, some people can make the fights better, more entertaining. I don't really see anyone beating him. Earl Spence, I mean, he definitely doesn't have he's a great fighter, but I don't think he has the pro level experience. I think Mayweather would really outbox the shit out of him. Plus, they would never fight anyway because they're homies. So I don't really see anyone logically beat him. Danny Garcia, I definitely don't see. I think his style would be, I like Danny Garcia. I think his style is all wrong for Mayweather fight. I think Mayweather could probably even TKO him late. And I talked to Troy King. He said the same thing. I see no way Danny Garcia. But Danny Garcia has a good chin, so I wouldn't probably pick a TKO, but I wouldn't be surprised if it got like a corner or referee stoppage. I really wouldn't versus Danny Garcia. But he has a chin, so I would pick a decision. But I don't see anyone beating him at 147. I think the bigger guys at 154 would be more of a challenge for his style. Next question is from the amazing Mother Porker. Ego, do you think this Cold War between Arum Golden Boy versus Heyman PBC can ever be solved? It's like we ended one Cold War, HBO versus Showtime, only to be dragged into another one. And that's absolutely right. I told people about this years ago. Once Richard Schaefer was moving way back then, I made videos about this saying we left one Cold War and it's going to be another. And I predicted it, Ego Stradamus. And I do think it can be resolved. I don't think it will be resolved anytime soon. And it's not because it can't. It's just because it's a pissing contest. And nobody, whoever, it's like, even in a boxing debate, you can look in these forums and my videos and other people's videos. People don't want to be wrong. They'll die before they're wrong. People are just so prideful. So if Arum works with a like Al Heyman or something, it'll almost be like conceding, like I have to work with him because I need it. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, there's too many egos and stuff involved, no pun intended. There's so many things involved and it's a pissing contest. Nobody wants to be wrong. They rather just sue each other to shit and stuff like that than to try to work it out. So I think it's resolvable, but I just don't see it being resolvable because people probably want to do it their own way. Like, who is this new dude, Heyman? I've been in the business since the 70s or the 90s or whenever, and there's just too many egos involved. Nobody wants to back down. Next question, Roberto Espinoza Torres. Ever since Rousey-Correa build-up, I've seen many boxing channels and media casually cover UFC. I guess Rousey and McGregor's tactic of talking shit about Mayweather is working money-wise for them. Should boxing be worried about the growth and success of MMA, specifically UFC? Yeah, UFC, I mean, it has to be UFC if anything, because like Bellator's been putting on some terrible matches. The Kimbo, Shamrock, they've been bad. So UFC is the only one really doing it in MMA. But since Maypac, also, do you think boxing needs a pay-per-view superstar desperately since Mayweather retired back September 2015 and has carried the sport decades single-handedly? Well, I don't think he carried it single-handedly. Mayweather was definitely instrumental, but Pacquiao used to do some numbers too, and Cotto. Cotto, Pacquiao Bradley, one just did under $1 million, I think 900,000 or something. So I don't think he single-handedly for the decade, but he had the highest of everything, the highest live gates, highest gross, the biggest events out of the bunch. But I think they have a superstar. I think Canelo is that. For whatever reason, whether you love him, hate him, thought he lost to Laura, whatever the situation is, I think Canelo can definitely pass that torch. But that's why they're trying to, I think Oscar's trying to tread lightly and not put him in fights that he shouldn't lose because they want to keep to him that pay-per-view star. Because the thing with Mayweather, and people try to steal from the Mayweather blueprint about, being a pay-per-view star and undefeated. Canelo already has a loss. So I know Golden Boy's not eager to put him in there with people who can make him look like shit and or beat him. You know what I mean? And that's just what I think. So it's different. It's easier said than done to preserve that. Mayweather did it the hard way. He fought tough guys. He got, Mosley coming off the Margarito performance and stuff. He wasn't just fighting cans. And he was able to preserve it based on his style and boxing ability and stuff. So bottom line, I think they have a pay-per-view star. I don't know if pay-per-view will ever be the same, to be honest, with streaming and as technology grows. It needs, like, for pay-per-view nowadays to be successful, I think with streaming and stuff, it has to be two bankable stars, like two people who are, I think Canelo versus Triple G, if they fought, like let's say Canelo had a rematch with Laura and Triple G fought somebody damn good, like Danny Jacobs or Peter Quillen, and knocked them out, right? Then they fought Canelo and Triple G, I think it would be big. But fighting a Dominique Wade and fighting a welterweight like Amir Khan for Canelo, I don't think that really amplifies. The whole point, if you look at the WBC extension for Canelo and Triple G having voluntary defenses, was to build up the future fight with Canelo and Triple G. And I don't think either one of those fights are really that. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. And I don't think boxing ever has anything to worry about UFC. UFC is its own. But you notice with the different discipline, it's hard to stay on top. Conor McGregor, he was the cash cow. He's talked a lot of shit. A guy with 11 days to train, 10 days to train, beat him and submit him. Now people call him Conor McTap-out and stuff like that. Very hard to stay on top with the different, because there's different ways to lose. You can get knocked out, you can get submitted, things like that. So the UFC, how do I say it? Mayweather's been a face for 19 years. Pacquiao was on top when he was running through guys, Cottos and Mosleys and David Diaz. He was doing that for a minute. You know what I'm saying? So guys like Canelo, he only has one loss. Guys stay on top longer. based on the style of fight, because it's boxing. It's not like your ground game sucks, so you're gonna tap out because you don't know shit about jiu-jitsu. So I don't think boxing really ever has anything to worry about, because they don't even have stars that reign for really any length of time. Ronda Rousey, they said she was the Terminator and unstoppable, and then she gets knocked the fuck out by Holly Holm. And then Holly Holm, in her first title defense, loses to an underdog in a fight she was winning against Miesha Tate. So I'm not worried about it. I think both sports can coexist, but they'll do their own numbers. I just don't think boxing really has anything to worry about. Next question is from Eric Shipman. This is a question that's been bugging me, Ego. Why do fighters today want to be celebrated like superstars without the big victories it takes to be one? And that's kind of what I was just saying in my last response. Mayweather had to beat a load of big name fighters like Cotto, Oscar, and Pac to be the man and stay the man. Why do other fighters think they can get a free pass to stardom, not fight the guys at the top? Sorry, I had to take a sip of this drink. So my answer to that is very simple. I think there's a lot of, you got greed involved. You got promoters. Not necessarily all the time the fighters don't want to fight the best fights, but you got promoters and stuff who are trying to run the show. Think about a lie or like statements. Sometimes people end up believing the horse shit that they put out there. Like a lot of people spent years, media writers, boxing promoters and stuff, they spent years, Floyd's boring, he sucks, he's only protected his O and didn't take any risky fights, blah blah blah, he's not fighting the right style of fight, and nobody can beat this man. So the point is, when you start saying, oh, he's pillow-fisted Floyd, and then you get in the ring with him and you can't do nothing with him. So the thing is, people start believing their own lies. And I think one of those lies is that Mayweather got to where he got by just cherry picking. Every single fight was a cherry pick, and he didn't fight nobody, or he fought people all at the right times, and he didn't take any risk or take any tough tests. People started to really believe that. So what happens is you get promoters who try to manufacture a superstar, not realizing guys like Juan Manuel Marquez, Pacquiao, Cotto, Mayweather, guys that have been in this sport since like the 90s and are still relevant today. That's hard work and dedication. All of them to maintain, to have longevity in the sport of boxing. I know guys from the 90s, Prince Nassim's 300 pounds, right? And that was one of my favorite fighters. He's definitely not fighting, right? You got guys like Marquez. I think Marquez, don't quote me on this, but off the top of my head, I think he turned pro in 1993. 1990, that was like when In Living Color and shit was on. You know what I mean? And he's still, they're talking about him making a comeback fight. Certain fighters paid their dues. So I agree with you. A lot of people want that pass to stardom. And Andre Ward said it. He said that there's no easy way to make a pay-per-view star. You don't. And then his Rock Nation promoter said it too. He said you don't just sprinkle pixie dust on somebody and all of a sudden they're magically a pay-per-view star.
For Dave, and maybe both of you guys can answer this one. This is your first fight with Andre under the Rock Nation banner, and I know how important it is. You know, Andre's right now, he's back. He's still in the prime of his career. How do you make the #2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world into that global icon, into that pay-per-view superstar that he wants to be?
Well, it's like I said before, you know, people throw around global superstar and they throw around pay-per-view star. I've been a professional for 10 years. And there's a Mexican-American and there's an American who have broke through that barrier in the 10 years that I've been a professional. That's Oscar De La Hoya, that's Floyd Mayweather. Everybody else came from another country and brought their fan base with them. Miguel Cotto, Felix Trinidad, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez. There are no pay-per-view stars right now from America outside of Floyd Mayweather. So that's not something we can just throw around and say, well, when are you going to do it? It just doesn't happen like that. A lot of things went right for Floyd to get to the position he got in. He had his Arturo Gatti, his first pay-per-view. He had his Carlos Baldomir, his Zab Judah, his Oscar De La Hoya, his Ricky Hatton. I wish I had those kind of rivals and those kind of opponents. I don't. So you can't make that happen. We just got to continue to fight, continue to win, and it has to happen, because the thing is this, you're not a pay-per-view star because you participate in a pay-per-view, right? You're a pay-per-view star when you can command the A side of a pay-per-view no matter who you fight. time in and time out. So it's not an impossible thing to do, but I get asked that question, like, we would love for that to happen, but I need the right dancing partner, I think, first. And then I just think it's a fight that the fans have to demand, the media, you guys have to demand it and put pressure on these guys. And then it's something that's going to draw interest where a cable network like HBO will say, this has to be pay-per-view. So that's the long answer for me. It's not like these things don't just happen.
You're just too good, champ.
It takes a lot of time. So, but hopefully we're closer than we've ever been. Hopefully I mean, I feel like my side is ready. I just think we need the right dancing partner. And then we can get our first one under our belt, then we can move on and say, okay, let's get some more.
Andre, I got a question.
Did that answer?
You answered it definitely.
Okay.
I just wanted to get Dave's thoughts on that.
I think Andre, he gave a great answer. Becoming a pay-per-view star is not something that you sprinkle dust on someone and it happens. It's something that happens over years, and it involves chemistry, and it involves the right opponents, and it involves a little bit of luck. And as he said, Floyd had a pretty good path to doing it. Andre's opponent path isn't what I would say is as easy of a star build as Floyd's was. So you have to work with what's out there and with what's in front of you. We're going to put him into our engine at Rock Nation, which I think gives him an advantage over other fighters out there in terms of branding and marketing and exposure. And we'll take the fights as they come. And if they become pay-per-view fights, that's great. They become pay-per-view fights, and Andre makes a lot of money, and everybody's happy. But if he continues to fight on HBO and he makes a great living for himself, that's great too. I mean, no one's saying that the pinnacle of success in boxing is that you're a pay-per-view star. You can accomplish a lot without doing that. But obviously, look, it would be great icing on the cake for him if it were to happen.
And it's tough. Floyd Mayweather made it hard for us. Like, now it's Floyd or bust. And we have to enjoy what Floyd has done, because that may never be done again for a very long time. I mean, I got some posters in my gym, and I forgot that those fights were pay-per-view fights, like Jermaine Taylor, Hopkins, all of them, right? Tarver Hopkins. And it's like today, I don't even know if they would put those fights, like if me and Chad fought back then, that's a pay-per-view fight. If me and Kovalev fought then, that's a pay-per-view fight right now. It's just different. Floyd changed the landscape and changed the game, so we got to kind of play accordingly.
And that's the problem with the game. I think a lot of these promoters jumping in and they start believing the bullshit they say. Like, oh, Floyd Mayweather, he just picked his opponents and got to 49-0 because he just handpicked them without taking any risk. So that's what they try to do. They think that's the Mayweather blueprint. And realistically, it's not as easy. Even when people are picking their opponents, it's not easy because you don't know who the fuck you can beat. I'm pretty sure every fighter that's ever been knocked out, Amir Khan probably thought he could beat Danny Garcia, and he was beating him for 2 rounds, and then he got stopped. So most fighters think they could beat anyone, so that's why statements like that don't make sense. Oh, Mayweather just fought people he knew he could beat. But I think that promoters, they see that and see how much money he's making and stuff, and him in the headlines, and they start to believe that. They start to believe, like, oh, if I just carefully match him, he's going to get to this point. You know what I mean? Pacquiao had catch weights, so if I have catch weights and guide him. But every fighter has their own story and their own legacy. What worked for somebody 10 years ago is not necessarily what's going to work for someone today, and that's the best way to answer it. Next question is from Bayron13. What do you think about Felix Verdejo, and who would you like to see him fight next? Do you think he's ready to start facing top competition in the lightweight division? You have the best boxing channel on YouTube. Salute. Thank you for that. I'm working hard. I got a lot of great stuff in the works. I like Felix Verdejo. Good skill set. Some people complain because his last fight went the distance. You're not going to knock everyone out. Some guys are talented. I just want to see him fight better competition. Like, guys, anybody with a name. Anybody with a name would be good. If he fought like Oscar Valdez, Evgeny Gradovich, winner. I don't know what exactly what weight they're fighting at, but really just anyone with a big name at the lightweight division. I don't even really know who's at lightweight right now, to be honest. I can't even think of any. I think Omar Figueroa and Ricky Burns and people like that, I think they all moved up. So Terence Crawford. I don't know who's at lightweight currently, just off the top of my head. It's not really a popping division. I think that's why Crawford left. but any top names. That's the best way to put it. But I like him. I like what I see, and I think he has a ceiling where he can keep improving and do good things in boxing. Okay. Next question. It's Morgan. What division do you think is currently on fire and has the best potential matches besides welterweight? Damn, welterweight's a good one. I would say actually 154, junior middleweight. A lot of names. You got Austin Trout. You got Jamal Charlo. You got Canelo Alvarez. You got Miguel Cotto's probably there. Other people like James Kirkland, who, you know what I mean, depending on who you're facing with, he might be able to make some noise. Julian J. Rock Williams. You got Edislandi Lara. You got Demetrius Andrade. Popping division. You got a lot of talent. I'm sure I probably forgot somebody just off of the top of my dome. The other division might shock people. Heavyweight. I think there's a lot of action for the most part at heavyweight, more so than there has been in a while. You got Charles Martin, champion. Anthony Joshua, a knockout artist, prospect who's undefeated. You got Dillian White, even though he lost to Joshua. I think you could put him in there with anybody, and they have pretty good. It'd be a pretty good match, right? Even Arthur Spilka. Arthur Spilka, he got stretched. If he comes back right, and I seen him on Facebook, he's already back in shape and shit. He's really taking it serious. So as long as he's not too banged up from the Deontay Wilder knockout, he was giving Deontay Wilder some good looks. So he's a good game opponent. Even the other guy Wilder fought, Johan Duhaupas, he gave Deontay Wilder some hell. So imagine Johan Duhaupas versus Arthur Spilka, right? Then you have other top guys like Klitschko. He's kind of getting to the end of his chapter. But Tyson Fury, you have, you know what I mean? There's a ton of people. I know I'm missing another heavyweight, I believe. Well, Deontay Wilder is another person. Bermain Stavern. Yeah, like there's a lot of action at heavyweight. Really, there really is. Joseph Parker. Imagine Bermain Stavern versus Cannon Briggs or something like that. There's a lot of different ways you can match them. Cannon Briggs, David Haye. There's a lot of action there. So I'm actually excited. Cannon Briggs, David Haye versus Arthur Spilka or Johan Duhaupas or one of those guys. See how he does with them. So those are the divisions, 154 and heavyweight, that I'm really liking right now. Amir Mansour, Dominique Brazil. Yeah, you got a couple people, to be honest. Gerald Washington. Next question is from BBB. Yo, Ego, what made you decide to start boxing YouTube channel, and who's your favorite boxer currently and out of all-time great? Now, I don't have a favorite boxer currently because I cover the sport. I like a lot of the guys. I like Floyd Mayweather. I like Canelo. I like Demetrius Andrade. I mean, I like different guys. I like it's so many. I like Nicholas Walters. I like some of the veterans like Orlando Salido. Who else do I really like in the sport of boxing? I like Wilder. I like what he brings to. I like Tyson Fury. He's entertaining. So I mean, I like different people for different things. Like I like Tyson Fury, his personality. I think he's great for the heavyweight division. But then some people I just like for their skill set. Some people aren't even that much skilled, and I like them a lot. Like Ruslan Provodnikov, I just enjoy watching Ruslan fight just because you know what he's coming to do. So I got a ton of people that I like. All-time greats: Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, Prince Nassim. Those are the ones. Muhammad Ali. Those are probably the ones that I always reference. Learned a lot from those guys and watched a ton of their fights. What made me start a boxing YouTube? Just love of the sport, really. And it really wasn't even a boxing. Some of you guys might remember way back then. It was Ego's World 1. It wasn't even supposed to be a boxing channel. I do some editing, video editing and directing. So I would do that. And then one day a fight was coming up. And I just said, you know what, let me talk about it. Because I've always been a fan of boxing ever since I was a kid. And I did it. And then people started, oh, talk about this fight. Who wins this fight? And then some people started hating. Some people started giving me props. And then before I know, I just kept growing and growing. And I got addicted to it. And people wanted to hear what I had to say. So I just kept with it and stuck with it. And I'm glad I did because I met a lot of cool people and experienced some different things doing it. So that's how I started. It wasn't. And see, that's the best way. When I didn't have any kind of premeditated thoughts of what it was going to be. I just loved the sport, put something out there, and then people related to it. Next question. Hey, Ego, what do you think would win in a fantasy match between a prime Sergio Martinez versus Canelo Alvarez? Personally think Sergio's speed and power would be too much for him. Thanks for always keeping it real. That's a difficult fight. I never really thought of that. At 54, I would go with I would go Sergio. He's just a slick southpaw. And see, the thing is, he can move. Sergio, you've seen how flat-footed Chavez Jr. looked against him for 11 rounds, and Chavez Jr. outweighed him by a lot. So Canelo has to set to throw his punches. But when he does, he's a monster. But I think Sergio's power, his awkwardness, his southpaw stance, I think it would resemble. It'd be a good fight because Canelo has heart, but I would pick Sergio just because the angles and the foot speed in his prime. In his prime at 54, yeah, I would definitely pick Sergio. Canelo's flat-footed and his feet are slow, so I think Sergio would just be moving and kind of like pot-shotting him and chastising him and making him frustrated. And we've seen guys like Mayweather and Lara do that. And we've seen Sergio knock out Paul Williams, so he had some good power too. Next question is Jack C3D Ego. Seeing that we're still in March, do you think Canelo has time to improve on his footwork and foot speed by May 7th, or do you think it's too late? I kind of talked about that in the last question with Sergio and Canelo. Canelo has slow feet, and I think that's just his style. That's just who he is. Some things, I don't believe, put it this way, I don't believe anyone can change any one thing in 6 to 8 weeks for boxing. Like, it just be a completely different fighter. Like, if you had minimal power, you're not going to, in 6 to 8 weeks, unless you're cheating, you're probably not going to be a powerhouse. Or if you have clumsy feet or bad footwork or slow feet, it's nothing you could do in 6 to 8 weeks. There's things you could do to try to correct it, but habits form over time and constant repetition. You know what I mean? That's like Steph Curry's been shooting all of his life in basketball. So yeah, of course, with practice, as he practiced, he's practiced and like threw over 1 million shots. So yeah, he's gonna get better, but it's something he's always been doing. And same with bad habits. If Canelo has slow feet, it might be genetically, like he's not that fast at his feet. Might be a style or whatever, but it's not. I don't think there's anything he can do to make crazy changes between now and May 7th. I just don't think that's how boxing works. I think it takes time to improve everything, especially when you're going in there with elite names. So there's things you can do to try to get better, but it's not going to be like a night and day, like, oh, wow, he's moving like Pernell Whitaker on his feet. I just don't see it. Because if it was that easy, Ruslan Provodnikov and John Molina Jr. would have adapted it. They would have just did some footwork seminar and then all of a sudden not been flat-footed. It just doesn't work like that. Chris Jackson says, what's up, Ego? Keep up the good work. I wanted to ask you a question about Terence Crawford. I think he's a great fighter, but how do you think he would react when a big puncher like matthysse or Thurman lands clean on his chin? Because I feel he was getting hit way too clean against Hank Lundy. Against a big puncher, Crawford might be in trouble. If he doesn't tighten up his defense, what's your thoughts? Now, I don't know what it is, but with Terence Crawford particularly, I feel it's being overstated. He was getting hit by Hank Lundy. Hank Lundy is a veteran. Hank Lundy has the ability to fight southpaw or orthodox. Like he's an awkward fighter. Plus, you have to look at the bad blood. Terence Crawford pushed the shit out of Hank Lundy. So I think he was really gung-ho. Like, I really want to make a statement with this dude. I don't like this dude. Hank Lundy was talking a gang of shit about Crawford, vice versa, right? So you had different levels of buildup. But for Crawford, for your example, if he was moving up in weight to fight Keith Thurman or he was fighting a known puncher like matthysse, I highly doubt that he's going to fight the same way. Like, I feel he'll be able to he's smart enough. He has an amateur career. He beat guys like Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia in the amateurs. So if you have that type of experience, Mikey Garcia has cracks and they were kids, right? Danny Garcia, we see him even as a pro has punching power. So Danny Garcia probably had punching power as a kid. Crawford beat them both. So I think Crawford has enough experience to know when to do what and when not to. Now, it's boxing. Anyone can get caught flush, and we don't know how he'll react. But the whole goal is to not get caught with the full punch and just eat shit flush. So I think the whole Hank Lundy, Hank Lundy, if you really boil it down versus Crawford, Hank Lundy won 1 round. He won the first round and that was it. And then he got bodied and got stopped for the second time in his career. Only one other person has been able to stop him. And they didn't make it look that dominant like Crawford. John Molina stopped him. But I think Lundy, I have to watch it again, but I think Lundy was winning that fight, right? Crawford lost 1 round and then he dogged Hank Lundy. So I think it's overstated about him, his lack of defense. Because I seen him live when he fought Ray Beltran, another known puncher. There was no intense bad blood between the two. It was business. And he fought pretty much a smart fight. He wasn't fighting gung-ho and getting hit a lot, he wasn't getting hit with shit he shouldn't be. So I don't know how he'll react. Obviously getting hit by Matthysse or Thurman flush. But I don't think his defense is what some people are kind of making it out to be from one successful round that Hank Lundy had. You know what I mean? Because if that's the case, I see Pacquiao eat shots all the time. All the time. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. Brandon Rios, I see all them guys eat way more punches than I see Thurman eat on the regular. So, I think it's overstated. I think Crawford has the ability and the skill to know when to make the proper adjustments and who to fight a certain way. Lundy, I told people, he's not a known puncher in the division. You know what I mean? Look at his record. He's not like a notorious, I don't know why he's even called Hammer and Hank Lundy. He's not like a notorious puncher. He has heart. He's a good fighter, but he's just not this massacring puncher like Matthysse or Thurman. So I don't think Crawford would fight them dudes like balls to the wall or whatever you want to call it. Next question is from Obed Giusti. Ego, you think Mayweather would have been a lot bigger and famous if he was white? Yes. You think he would have been considered as the great of all time with no questions? Probably, you know what I mean? Or one of them. He wouldn't have to constantly explain the TBE thing. I think people would accept it more, and that's just what it is. Some people, they get mad. Oh, why are you bringing up race? It's just a fact. It's a fact, a reality in the world in general, not just boxing, politics. So if there's racism in the regular world, then why would there not be racism in boxing? And it's not just black people, Mexican fighters, Puerto Ricans, Asian, you know what I mean? I'm sure people discriminate on different people, but the question is about Floyd Mayweather. So, yeah, I do think he would have a different success rate. And the funny thing is, when you bring up race, people always get touchy. Oh, man. Some people even, if you bring up race, some people even bring the fact, like, they'll say you're racist for talking about race. Like, ain't that a bitch? Like, I'm talking about there is racism in boxing, and then I get called racist for talking about it. But the proof is in the pudding. Look at white artists like Eminem. He has a song. What song was it? It might have been White America. Check it out. I think that's the song it was. He said, shit, if I was black, I would have sold half. Yeah, he said something like, if I was black, I would have sold half. I didn't have to graduate from Lincoln High School to know that. So he said, let's do the math. If I was black, I would have sold half. And he said stuff like that before in his songs. Like, if I was black, I would have sold half. I didn't have to graduate from Lincoln High, but I could rap. I'm white and I could rap. He's saying stuff like that. Why would he say that? Why would he say, oh, if I was black, I would have sold half? Why would he sell half as being black? Because there's so many other black rappers. He wouldn't have stood out like he did being a white fighter. So if there's a white dominant fighter like Mayweather, dominant, you know what I mean, who's pitching shutouts, of course they would be celebrated more than Mayweather is celebrated, because you even see the double standard. Conor McGregor talked a gang of shit. We'll say Nate Diaz particularly, a gang of shit about Nate Diaz, didn't even back it up. People still fuck with Conor McGregor. I still fuck with him. Mayweather talks a gang of shit, acts like a gentleman and a sportsman after the fight, but talks a gang of shit before the fight, and people still hate him. Oh, I hate him. He's a trash talker. He's a monkey, right? But people are like, oh, I still fuck with Conor. And then I guarantee I'll probably get dumb comments like, oh, that's because Conor McGregor moved up in weight and took risks. Mayweather moved up 5 weight classes. Shut that shit up. Mayweather moved 5 classes just because he didn't do it all in one day like a dummy. That doesn't mean anything. He still took challenges, took on guys 10 years younger, bigger punchers than him, guys with momentum, guys off impressive wins, etc. Next question, Jose Navarro. What up, Ego? First, do you think Canelo Size took himself by surprise? I don't even really know what that means. Canelo Size took himself by surprise. I don't know what that means. And why do you think he got so much bigger, even though it seems like he weightlifts much? I can't even answer that because I don't even know. You guys got to work on the spelling if you want me to answer. I don't even know I selected that question because I can't even understand it. Second, do you think Dimitri Pirog would have been a force in boxing today if he wasn't forced to retire, like possibly a threat to Triple G? No, Max? No. Yeah, I definitely do. And they were actually, at the time, Triple G was just coming up fighting guys like Proska and stuff, and they were mentioning that particular fight. So it just sucks what happened to his career. He stopped Danny Jacobs. I think the only person to stop Danny Jacobs. He had power, good boxing. So he definitely would have been a problem and definitely a good addition to have stayed in the middleweight division. It's just, that's what sucks about boxing. Guys like Robert Garcia, sometimes they get out the sport too early or they're forced out of the sport. There's been other people like that, pass away, stuff like that. Fresh Prince of LB. Hey, Ego, 2 questions. If Canelo vacated his title and went to 154, how do you think he would do? Also, same for Triple G if he went up to 168. I mean, those 154 is stacked, so he's going to have problems because I posted last Monday Mail Day a picture of Canelo and Charlo. He looked tiny next to him. Then you got guys like Demetrius Andrade, another 6-footer, southpaw, good boxer, shows he can get knocked down like he did versus Vanes Martirosyan and then win every single round. That's not average to get knocked down and hurt and then win every single round after. Guys like Vanes Martirosyan, guy with power, experience, Olympic experience, pro experience, looked to be a good chin. Willie Nelson, tall, powerful, amateur experience. Julian Williams. This is Edeslandi Lara rematch. So, I mean, I think he could make any fight competitive, but I don't think he would beat all those guys, to be honest. I think there's different skills. Same thing with Triple G. I think he will definitely be tested. James DeGale. Even a Badou Jack might be able to test him just if he can take his punch well. Guys like that, because they're guys that are going to be taller, naturally bigger, maybe tougher. Guys like James DeGale, Carl Froch, if he were to unretire. How do I think Crawford would do at 147? I think he could eventually get to 147, but like I said earlier in this video, I don't think he should move up to 47 anytime soon. Like, get your bearings, feel like, because he hasn't even felt like maybe a proper puncher at 140. So just wean yourself into that division, like acclimate, get your body count up from this division, and then move up. So I think Crawford, skill-wise, could move up to 147 and be successful, but I wouldn't advise it anytime soon because you got killers up there. Even though he beat Danny Garcia in the rematch, Danny Garcia has probably more pro-level experience with bigger names and bigger venues and bigger events. So you don't know. Even though skill-wise, Crawford's still probably more skillful than Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia has naturally moved up faster and given his body a chance to acclimate. So I think Crawford could be successful at 47, but there's a lot of killers up there. So he would want to go once his body's there. You know what I mean? Not just keep moving through weight classes. Next question from Ivan. Yo, Ego, do you think Golovkin needs to grow up 168 and beat someone and stop complaining for a big match? Sure, that would be great. I mean, even if it's at 160, put it this way. If you can't get the top guys at 160, you got to do something. It's your career. It's your legacy. You're 33 years old. You're not getting any younger. And you're going to always stay at that same level. People are going to say you're good. You're a monster. But we haven't seen you fight anyone elite. So if he can't get Billy Joe Saunders, if he gets past Dominic Wade, can't get Billy Joe Saunders, Peter Quillen, Danny Jacobs, or Canelo, for whatever reason, then no other fight is going to really mean anything. What are you going to fight Curtis Stevens too? A guy who's never been a world champion. You're going to rematch David Lemieux, a guy you dominated. You know what I mean? Fights like that, and until those guys build back up, they don't really make, like if Curtis Stevens became a champion and knocked out Danny Jacobs or something, okay, maybe you call for a Triple G rematch, but Curtis Stevens has been on the sideline. Last time I think he fought was BKB, right? So boxing's about timing. So right now, to me, if he gets past Dominic Wade, he needs to fight a big name. And if he can't get that for whatever reason at 160, get like a champion, a big name, a champion, someone who's considered at least elite for the moment, then he should definitely move up to 168. Gilberto Ramirez, Jesse Hart called him out. Carl Froch at one point, if he were to unretire. James DeGale said he'll fight him. So you got to look for the challenges like they did in the old school. If you can't get them, people are avoiding you and ducking you, that's fine. But you either just complain and tell people how people are ducking you, but stay there in a division that's not really that popping. Even guys like Steve Cunningham, he was a cruiserweight. Clearly not, he shouldn't be fighting at heavyweight, but he still went up to heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? He's like low 200s. Last question, Eatman888, Boxing Eagle. All I hear is Floyd is boring, Ward is boring, Rigo is boring. Is it because they are all boring fights to watch, or are they just that good that they take the drama out the fight? Laughing my ass off. I heard Dana White say Floyd fights are 12 rounds of crap. That MMA fights have more action, even though they have defensive-minded, risk-averse fighters like Floyd in MMA. What are your thoughts about boring boxing is nowadays to the haters and uninformed? My thoughts are simple. A lot of people are lazy, right? Like if you look at old horror movies versus current horror movies, now they just try to gross you out with a bunch of stuff that, like, people getting their eyes ripped out and stuff like that. But some of the throwback, the classic, old school scary movies and stuff, like Alfred Hitchcock, he was able to scare people with real life situations like birds pecking people's eyes out and stuff. But they don't have to show you all the gruesome details and stuff. Sometimes the thought of whatever was scary enough. Psycho, they didn't show the girl in the shower and her to get her neck slit and her like larynx falling out and stuff like that. But that's what they do. And that's kind of the reason I brought that up, is because that's how some of the movies are nowadays. They try to, like, just, instead of building a clever story, characters you care about and stuff, they just care about like gruesome special effects and stuff. And the same thing with boxing. You look at boxing, some people don't appreciate that it is actually a combat sport and there's beauty in it. And it's not your job to make it easy for someone. So all these people that are boring is because they're all dominant. Why no one says Rules and Provodnikov's boring? Because he's not dominant at all. His fights are wars. His face looks kicked to shit when at the end of his fights. You know what I mean? His face is tattered up and bruised and he's peeing blood. And that's what people have this affinity with, this Rocky Balboa type of story. Like at the end of Ivan Drago, he beats Drago and his eyes all lumped up. Drago, like Adrian. Like, it's not how boxing really is, but that's how some people, like HBO's even doing it. If it ain't an action style fighter, it's boring. And you got Letterman and Jim Lampley saying that. So, like you said, it's just a lot of hate, a lot of haters, a lot of uninformed people. And they're not diehard boxing fans, most likely. Because I don't see how you can be a fan of a sport and only like one position, one side. I only like this style. There's no fighter that's slick that I even like because it's too boring. There's only, you know what I mean? Like, I could never do that. Only like punchers or only like counter punchers. That's what makes boxing interesting, is that you have different styles. You have guys like Donaire who are powerful and strong. And then you got guys like Rigondeaux who are smaller but more skilled, and a southpaw. That's what makes it interesting. Imagine playing Street Fighter and all the characters were Zangief, just big, strong-ass dudes that are going to wrestle, put you in wrestling moves and pile drive you. That shit would be boring. But the fact is, the way the game is set up, you got Vega from Spain. You got a fucking monkey Blanca shit, whatever he was, the green with orange hair, doing backflips and electrocuting your ass. You got like Ken and Ryu, who are virtually like the same and shooting fireballs, and Hadouken and Chung-Li, spinning star kick, and like all that. That's what makes the game fun. But if all the characters were the same, they had the same strengths, same weaknesses, the shit would be boring. I would never even have liked Street Fighter. I'm like, man, I'm playing Mortal Kombat. This shit is garbo. If every fighter fought like Zangief, it's no different with boxing. I don't want to watch nothing but Ruslan's. That shit would be boring. I don't want to watch nothing but Floyd's. That shit would be boring. But what I'm saying is I don't want everyone in the sport to have, like, if everyone fought as slick and defensive as Floyd, and every fighter made every other fighter that they fought miss just like Floyd does, then that would be boring because everyone's doing the same thing. So I like variety. And a lot of the haters and casuals and media writers and stuff, they obviously don't. They just want to see mindless action, and that's it. Let me know how you guys think I did this particular week. Monday mail day. Try to get through a lot of questions. I'll be back next week. Hit the like button, the subscribe button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.